I was writing the president a letter. As you know, the president gets up every morning. He has anywhere from 35 to 50 armed men and women around him. His family, his children go to school with somebody with a weapon. His wife goes shopping. All these things, and there's all these people around him all the time that were there to protect him. And I kind of thought about that for a little bit, and I kind of thought, you know, I have it so much better. I was going to write the letter back, and I says, you know, you're protected by the Secret Service. And I said, you know, I'm a sheriff of Jackson County, and we have 15,000 people that live here. And I says, I get up every morning and I go out, and I says, and I've got 5,000 people, and they're called citizens that pack. You know, if I'm on the side of the road and I'm having a problem with somebody, I just assume somebody come up that's packing, you know, to help me, help protect me. When the kids go to school, we've got armed citizens that are protecting them. We're as well protected or better protected. I like my odds better than what his are. He's got 50, I've got 5,000. And if I'm not going to take away that, I mean, my family, my friends are as important as his are. There's no difference there. And so I just soon keep my people armed to protect me. He's got his choices, I got mine. I just soon put all you guys with a weapon to protect me than what he has. So, is there any other questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. You'll be next.
Yes. You know, the right to keep and bear arms is part of our Constitution. It's been an issue, gun control has been an issue for generations. So far, they've never been successful. What I hear when I talk to people around the areas is, well, they'll let you keep your guns, but they'll outlaw ammunition. How do you address that? What recourse do we have? What good is a 12 gauge if I don't have a...
Right. Have all the guns you want. Well, that's where people are stockpiling right now. Go try to buy ammunition. People are stockpiling. They're talking about making the primers to where they only last like 2 years and then they misfire after 2 years. You know, so that takes care of you. I have reloaded my own ammunition for the last probably 25 years, and someplace on my farm.
Where's your stockpile?
someplace on my farm there's powder and there's primers. Okay, and what it is people you have to watch out for yourself. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time because that's where I grew up. We've had guns in our home all the time, and so if they outlaw or they take away the ammunition, I'll just be reloading it.
Would you say the prudent thing is to go ahead and start stockpiling now?
Yeah, because the prices are going up and it's getting harder. You can't hardly buy.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, that's just it's gonna be like anything else. You know, the church. There's some churches, some religions that believe that you know, they have to have at least a year's groceries. The same kind of some people don't believe in guns either. Well, obviously that's the first place to go to get the food if you're going to go someplace that doesn't have a weapon, you know. But with people having weapons, you can have a year's supply of food as long as you got the ammunition and stuff to back it up. That you're going to be able to eat your food. You know.
I have a question, but I'd like to direct it to
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gerardo.
Gerardo.
Is this a group, as in an organized, that you're speaking of here?
No.
Okay, and my question was that 2 months ago in the fiscal court meeting, we had an individual that owns a company on the north side of the county. And they were talking about getting a huge contract of making parts for an airplane. And I talked to an individual that was with you that day about his questioning of the ownership, and he told me the only thing that he had against getting that contract in the county, which created jobs, was that they was making equipment for war. Now I'm going to tie this together. If we cannot protect ourselves as a nation, why do you agree protecting yourself personally with guns?
I didn't say, you said somebody that was with me?
Yes.
Then you need to speak to that person.
Come forward if you would. You don't want to talk.
This is really not the appropriate place for this discussion.
Well, you're talking about protection.
So we're talking about the Second Amendment. We're
One
not
is
talking
government
about
versus individual too, and it's also just a personal belief on war versus preemptive
Well,
war.
I'm the one that is
Like I
for
said, I came from Chicago, and maybe this has nothing to do with it, or maybe it has everything to do with it. You had a mayor that just retired. He left with 7 bodyguards, but he wouldn't let his citizens have a gun. He left with, and who pays for that? The taxpayers pay for it. Okay, the people of Chicago have to pay for that. They fought and they argued that, hey, wait a minute, who's going to pay for this? When his wife passed away, he gave up 3 of his bodyguards, 3 or 4 of his bodyguards. He still gets a lifetime of bodyguards, but the poor people in Chicago, you guys figure out how to survive. That's not what this country is about. We should have a right to defend ourselves. We do. We do. Yeah. We do. But they're trying to take that away from us. It isn't, and I'm so glad, I'm so proud of this living here and this sheriff, because he's saying it's not going to happen in Jackson County.
Yeah, I want to make a distinction. My views are not his. We have some intersection, and not necessarily everything that I believe would agree with him. So I was conversing with you about some of my views. Now, I am worried about our government stockpiling drones, manufacturing drones, putting these up in the air over our nation, and they're using them overseas now. And if they're putting them up overhead, and who's making these? And are we making these here in Jackson County? And are they going to be putting drones up above our heads to spy on us and maybe weaponize them? Those things they cross my mind. And so I'm kind of wondering, you know, okay, we're getting contracts and the government's wanting all these drones built, and are we taking part in shooting ourselves in the foot as a nation? So some of these things cross my mind, and I voiced that to you on the side. And but I do agree with what's going on here with Sheriff Peyman's stance on the Second Amendment.
I agree with Sheriff Peyman on the Second Amendment, most certainly. But what my question was if we cannot, if we're sitting here fighting for self-preservation and protection, then we have some in the group that is against the nation preserving themselves for protection. I'm a Vietnam veteran, Special Forces, 72.
Thank you.
And
thank you for your service.
My question is how can you support one issue without supporting the other?
They're 2 separate issues.
They're 2 separate issues.
More
We'd like to
complicated.
talk about individual
Here's a question.
Okay,
self-defense
just say,
in
this
this
guy,
meeting.
he's waited a long time. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, Sheriff. I commend you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. As my brother here, we were there. We didn't do it for our flag. We did it for all of you in this room. But my question is if it does come down hard and heavy, who's going to be the enforcers?
You mean if they come in?
Yeah, I mean, Homeland Security is, I imagine, in Jackson County as well as anywhere else.
That's if you go back, if you go let's go back to the Constitution, the Second Amendment, then let's go to Kentucky Constitution. If you'll study into that, we have given up so much to the federal government that we didn't have to. Basically, it's laziness. It's just a lot of times, the responsibility of the public still, and the poverty still falls upon the church. The church does not take their responsibility either anymore. They pass it off. Now they've started things like social services and stuff. If the people back then would have been, used to be accountability. If you didn't work, a family would take you in, they would feed you, you would work to make your way. Now they don't, they pay you to stay at the house and do nothing. And that's from laziness. The federal people have come in on us because of laziness, because people will not stand up on the local level and take it and say, no, you're not coming here. We're just going back a couple of pages. If you go back a couple of pages and look in history, if you go back and read our own Constitution, they do not come in here unless we allow them to. Does that answer your question?
Who enforces it, though? I think that's, I mean, you and your deputies?
And the
or-
5,000 armed citizens.
Right.
The
I mean,
militia.
yeah, how does it work on a
How's the militia
practical
sound?
level?
Well, that's what this country's all about, is militias. And some of the militias has got a bad name. It's just like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example, Ruby Ridge. I was in Idaho when Ruby Ridge went down. Nothing against federal people, but the sheriff had it under control. It was just a simple warrant on a sawed-off shotgun. He had arrested the man before, didn't expect an incident. ATF came in, moved in. I wasn't right at the facilities. I couldn't make any judgment on these people, but it could have been handled differently. It got out of proportion. People died, and it basically was a black eye to the federal people. when things can be taken care of on a county level a whole lot easier and cleaner. If we get in trouble, they say, well, if you get in trouble, you call them. Well, yeah, if I get in trouble, I call National Guard. You know, I can call National Guard here at any time. You know, do we want them here?
Call me, I'm closer.
Sheriff, may I say something about Ruby Ridge?
Yes, sir.
Friends, fellow Kentuckians, Second Amendment is written to protect us from our government, from a tyrannical government, which we're on the verge of having. Ruby Ridge, it started by federal agents ambushing his son and one of his friends in the woods and killing the man's son. From hiding in the bushes, that's waging war. Lon Horiuchi was a name I'll never forget. He's the FBI sniper who from a long distance shot Vicki Weaver in the head while she was holding a nursing baby to her breast. If it can happen there, it can happen here. The Second Amendment's about protecting us from this government. Self-defense is a wonderful thing. We have that right also, but I'd like to submit with respect, the Second Amendment's not about hunting. It's not even about necessarily protecting our homes from criminals.
Correct.
It's about protecting ourselves and our freedoms from the government.
Yay.
And they're on the verge of trying to steal it. I'm so proud of this man I could burst into tears, and that's not my way. That's all I have to say. I'm one of those ones lives up by Heisel, Sheriff.
Call me, I'll make it there. One story. I just want to hear your side, okay?
Thank you very much, Sheriff, and thank you, Gerardo, for having us all here. And I want to make a point to people who may be very interested in this issue, but because you have tended to your own lives and your families and your work, that you may not be as aware